Welcome to Down in Front. I'm Andy
Redo.
Neitzer. Joel is over there. That's Joel Shuttlesworth, my ho-coast. So this week we've been gone. Well, this is our returning episode after being gone for a while. Sorry, I
Had to go have a baby.
had to go, have a baby and stuff. So we missed a couple weeks, but we sort of caught up with the cunning use of skipping the crap, like Tooth Fairy and what was that other one? Spy Next Door. So we aren't going to be reviewing those. Thank you. So this week we're going to be reviewing Legion and The Lovely Bones and Book of Eli, and we're going to have some girls on here to review something, some dance movie.
La Dance.
La Dance. That's going to be fun.
Yeah. Dead air.
What are we doing first?
Let's do Lovely Bones.
Lovely Bones. Lovely Bones. What was that about? That's Stanley Tucci is a murderer who murders a 14-year-old girl named Susie Salmon, played by a newcomer who was really good. Marky Mark's in it. I'm so tired. I'm sorry.
You're killing me over here, man.
Tell us about it, Joel.
Well, I mean, that's about it. It's Susie Salmon gets killed, but that's like the start of the movie. And I don't know, everybody's making a big deal about Stanley Tucci's role in this, but I didn't really see anything spectacular out of him.
He doesn't do much.
No, he just shows up. He's like creepy for a little while, which I'm sure he kind of is anyway. And then that's it. I mean, really for me, I was really disappointed with Jackson's direction on this. I think it's probably just because every other movie that I've seen of him recently has just been these giant sweeping epics. You know, even King Kong was just a huge epic movie.
Yeah.
And even though I do like his smaller films, this one just seemed, I don't know, it seemed forced to me. And a lot of people that have read the books have said that, you know, it sticks really close to the books. I think there's a couple of rearranging parts of it just so it makes sense as a movie. But this felt to me like somebody was reading a book to me, you know, and I don't mind reading if I have to, and I like seeing movies, but I don't like seeing a movie where it feels like somebody's just reading a book to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what this was. It's like there was no really, I mean, I couldn't imagine things like I would if I was reading it, and I didn't really feel as though somebody else's imagination was being expressed as creatively as possible. As creative as Peter Jackson and Weta can do, I thought it wasn't really put onto the screen.
Mm-hmm. I saw it with my sister-in-law, and she had read the books, and she said that it stuck like intimately close to the book. Like it was almost exactly like the book.
Probably because it got burned so hard because of the Lord of the Rings stuff. You know?
Really?
Well, yeah. I mean, he cut out a couple of parts, and the fanboys went nuts. So I mean, if you got fanboys of Lord of the Rings going crazy, imagine how horrible fan people of Lovely Bones would be. You know?
I'd never heard of this book before. I don't know. Anyway, she
it's
she
not
said
Twilight, so I'm
she
not
said that
reading
the
it.
whole point is supposed to be that the whole story is being narrated by the daughter from the beyond, and that was kind of a novel approach that I thought. And I mean, it's very much like if you ever saw What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams. It was very much this, individual dies, and then it's the afterlife, and it's his interaction with the real world, or attempt to, and to kind of change things or solve something. And there was a lot of that. There was a lot of this depiction of heaven, which was kind of interesting. I'm always interested to see what filmmakers can make heaven look like. And this was very similar to What Dreams May Come in that it's this big kind of watercolor world where everything is this beautiful green and blue, and it's all nature, and you know, you can do whatever you want and everything. But that's a lot. That was the majority of the movie. When we see her, it's, you know, it's her world, and then when something crazy is happening on Earth, her world kind of crumbles into this darkness, just like What Dreams May Come did, by the way. And so there was a lot of that, and so we'd cut back from her just kind of walking around, and then, you know, interacting with her heaven, and then cutting back to Earth where Marky Mark is trying to solve her murder, but there wasn't much more depth than that.
Yeah.
One thing that I didn't like, and this is something I've hated because they've been doing it a lot for some reason for the last 10 years or so, is anytime there's a supernatural film where somebody is dead, there's always a goth chick. There's always a goth chick who's like this clairvoyant who can either see or speak or knows, like either she knows everything about death.
Yeah.
She can see or speak to the person who has died, or she interacts with the family of the dead individual to give them some kind of closure about, like, she's okay or something like that.
Like Whoopi.
Yeah, exactly. She's not goth though.
It's goth as much as I can take.
Yeah. So anyway, there's this girl in the film who evidently in the book is the same way, but I don't know if that was. It just always seems very cheap to me.
Yeah.
Like they're like, well, we can't explain that the dad can see the daughter, but let's put this goth chick in here who can. So we have somebody who knows that she's dead and knows that she's not really gone completely, and you know, it's just I just hate that because it always seems like a cheap.
Well,
knockoff.
it seems like a misinterpreted stereotype of that particular person. You know, it's not like, you know, if you've got a cat, it doesn't mean that you can see into the, you know, into the world of the dead. But I don't know. It really, the romanticized version of purgatory for me didn't really do it. I don't think, and was it even heaven that whole time? Because I think she was like going to heaven.
Yeah, it
Like
was.
all the girls are. I don't know. Without spoiling anything. She is in kind of the in between. I mean, at least I got that part. So I kind of thought it was like a purgatory thing, but she can't interact with anything in the living world, but still kind of can. I guess I just didn't get the rules.
Yeah.
You know, and for me to get into something like that, and maybe it's just my perspective of it. I need to understand the rules of things. You know, I need to understand the world that I'm in before I can enjoy the story that's being told in it. And I just didn't connect with that world. The story is really sweet, and you know, the whole thing about I mean, it's a young girl getting killed. There's going to be a lot of emotions running with that, especially when she can still see everything that's happening. But I just didn't get into the world of it like I really thought I would. I thought if anybody could do it, it was going to be Jackson, but it just left me wanting, I guess.
Another funny thing I forgot to mention is that Susie Salmon in her Purgatory or Heaven or what have you even had a young Asian girl showing her the ropes of heaven. And in What Dreams May Come, Robin Williams had this young Asian girl showing him the ropes of heaven. I thought that was pretty funny. Also,
Like Asians are the pros of purgatory.
yeah, they know heaven. Also, I would not recommend seeing this movie if you've just had a daughter.
Oh,
Because-
yeah.
Because I'm sitting through this movie going, I'm never letting my daughter out of the house. Because it all took place in the 70s where evidently people were a little bit more trusting, and it was like, wow, all these girls. I'm like, I don't want to think about it. But anyway,
Yeah.
I got to do that until you have a child.
We'll be hearing that many a time from
Yeah.
now on.
So, yeah, I mean,
Did you like it?
I didn't not like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't disappointed, but I was kind of bored at times. I mean, there was a lot of emotion to it, and I think they did that really well. But the problem I had with it is I think Peter Jackson feels like he can do anything. But
Well,
I
that's the
think
thing is I almost feel like he can do anything too. You know,
Yeah.
it's
he needs to stick to a more grander scale, I think, because when he gets down into it, it seems like he overthinks it and he tries to make it a little bit more epic, but it needs to stay.
Well, I don't know, because Heavenly Creatures was amazing.
Well, that was a while ago.
Yeah, I mean
He
that
has
was
since
right
gone
after.
a little bit more epic.
Well, it was like you know, Dead Alive, Meet the Feebles, Heavenly Creatures.
And Frighteners was in there too.
Frighteners is around there too, but I mean since then he's gotten the ability to show anything, and I think
I
he
love
really-
Peter Jackson's take on the afterlife. I think he's got pretty good ideas for that too.
yeah, but he's following too close to a book. I think he needs
Yeah.
to stick to original stuff.
All right, well, we're going to move on and introduce Sam, who you met a couple weeks ago, sort of,
It's
and
a redemption review.
and her friend, New Girl. So,
Nicolette.
what?
Nicolette is her name.
Nicolette?
Mm-hmm.
Nicolette.
We good? You go? Yeah? No? All right, welcome back. The guys didn't want to go see a dance documentary at Ragtag, so Nicolette and I decided to go see it. And it's called La Danse. It is a documentary about the Paris Opera Ballet. What'd you think?
It would have been great if I knew it was a documentary that was going to be 3 hours long.
You're a little bit too long for this.
Yeah, no, if I had known what it was going to be about, I would have been able to prepare for it more. Just sitting in the theater for that long was very stressful.
Too long. Way, way too long.
But the movie went really well into detail about what the ballet is actually like.
Yeah, it's not just putting on a show for about 3 minutes and then forgetting about it. There's like months and months that go into it, and they went into detail showing like how to make the costumes, like the business side of it, and lots of practice.
And lots of random things too. They like to show how empty Paris is at night and random shot, and then it kind of didn't seem to have anything to do with the movie, but at the same time it was artsy and fun at the beginning,
Yeah,
but got really annoying by the third hour of the movie.
yeah. You thought that's how they're going to end it because you see this, oh, that's a cool way to start the movie. Just show the streets of Paris, and then they kept showing it. Random places, oh, it's done. No.
Yeah, it was very frustrating, but at the same time, it made you think just because there was no narration of this documentary, which helps you actually have your own opinion about what the movie's trying to say, which was nice.
Yep. And it wasn't just ballet like Nutcracker, little point shoes, hardcore platter tutus, whatever.
Yeah.
They had some contemporary stuff.
They definitely went into all aspects of the dance of the ballet. And a lot of times, people think ballet, they just think traditional point shoes and that's it. But they do so much more, especially in France, where they do the French contemporary. And they really brought that in, which I loved.
Yeah. Did you learn that whenever you went to Paris?
Yeah, definitely. The French contemporary, it's their own style. They kind of make fun of Americans in their, their French way because they're French. And what they do, they just take what we created and they just kind of make it more artsy. They have no structure and they just kind of move around and do whatever the hell they want. It's very artistic and beautiful, but it's also very French. And if you don't know what it is, it's good to watch this movie. It really helps you realize what all goes into French dancing.
I like how they showed, 5 or 6 different ballets. They showed the traditional one, they had some
Yeah.
scenes from the Nutcracker, from Swan Lake, but they also had one called Janus, is that right? This contemporary.
The English guy,
Yeah.
that one was amazing. I could watch that all the time. Seeing the movie, it was long and everything, but watching those scenes of the dancing was just fantastic. Because they would show the entire dance. They wouldn't cut in and out. They would just have one shot going straight through, which was amazing. I loved watching that.
Yeah. They also showed dancers don't have a very long career life.
Oh, yeah, they
And
definitely went into that aspect
I like
of
the
it.
old lady that they had. Well, not old. She had to be in early 30s.
Yeah,
old for a dancer.
35 maybe.
Yeah.
And she was saying that she couldn't dance anymore. She was asking for less jobs. And it was showing how stressful it is and how
harder
the
on
director
her.
was trying to get them to have retirement earlier because their retirement age, they were trying to change it to 40, but most of the dancers don't even last until 40. So it was really depressing in that way.
Yeah. Weren't you telling me that, even Russian ballet, their retirement's 30 or something like
Yeah,
that?
especially in Russia. The Russia retirement age is much younger because they're perfectionists and everything has to be absolutely perfect.
And they do point one after 10.
But yeah, most ballerinas, their life starts when they're 15 years old. And then it ends really early because it's so much damage to the body, especially for the women. The men can last a lot longer because
Well, yeah,
they're
have
not
point
on point
shoes and-
shoes. So they don't have so much pain.
My
Sad
feet
story.
were cramping watching them. I'm just I'm
Yeah.
glad I don't do this anymore.
I like that they didn't go into the whole fact of like every other dance movie, they go into them taking off their point shoes and they're like, oh, bruised feet, this is so terrible. They didn't go into that aspect.
If you didn't know about it, I saw some of the dancers, they had bandages on their toes, which makes
Yeah.
your feet bleed.
But they just made it like it was something normal, like
Yeah.
not something that you really need to draw the audience's attention
Not
to.
like, what was it, center stage that you just saw? It's like, oh, let's
It
do
was
like
so
a 2-minute
cheesy.
shot on blisters.
And like hitting their point shoes with hammers. Like it was just such a dramatic scene that like it's not really that big of a deal in the ballet world. But you know, that one piece, the Medea piece,
Oh, that was cool.
that was so cool. I haven't seen like a Medea interpretation from the Paris opera, but like I've seen like Martha Graham's interpretation, and like that was really weird. I mean, her character was just out of control. But this one, like they were pouring like blood on stage and like killing these kids on stage. Like it was intense.
Yeah,
highly
I heard the
recommend
story
just
way
watching
back
that.
when, and just like buckets over their heads. Oh, they're decapitated. Okay.
Decapitated children on stage. I mean, they get a little bit over the top when they go on stage. Or same with like all of the like the duets, how intimate they were.
Yeah.
Like you don't see that as much in like American stuff and American dancing.
Not
They're
at all.
much more open over there in France.
Just a little bit.
Where most random part of the movie, the part that I hated the most, the bees.
What was the point of that? Really?
I have
It
no
was like
idea.
a 5-minute clip of like they had like little beekeeper.
Like
and
they
were
shot around
collecting
to like the whole like
honeys.
Opera de Bastille, and then they're like, oh look, it's pretty. This is where we perform. Let's go to the roof and look at this guy making some honey. Like, okay, I don't get it. Like I kind of wish the movie ended right there, because then it would have been really funny. But
It would.
it kept going for like another hour and a half.
Speaking of the ending, they should have done something else with it because it looked like they were trying to start something completely new. It was just like,
Yeah, it
oh, a
did.
whole nother dance.
There really was no ending. It was like they just kind of like shot after shot after shot throughout the whole movie. There was nothing building up, nothing like actually happening, and then it just ended.
It's like, oh,
Yeah.
we're bored. We're done. Sorry.
But then again, I mean that's like a look into the life of the ballet,
just
and they
keeps
don't really. There's no
going and
plot,
going.
obviously. It's a documentary, and then it was just so weird how it ended, and you're like, oh,
Oh, that's
Okay.
it? Okay.
yeah,
Sounds good. Wasn't a big fan of it being 3 hours long.
yeah, no, like maybe if I was at home and I could pause it, and
Yeah.
like maybe get something to drink, eat, go to the
Come back
restroom.
in
I
a
mean, like
couple
honestly, like we
hours.
were trapped in there for so long. Like I stood up, I was like, oh my god, my back. This is so much pain. Like, meanwhile, the people on stage and like not stage on the screen were dancing their hearts out, and they're in a lot of pain. But we were too. We were
Just sitting there.
felt it physically through the seats. It was terrible.
Yeah, not so much. So,
Yeah, not a fan of that.
bottom line, I would say, well, since it's not at Ragtag anymore, try to rent it so you can pause it and not have to sit through 3 hours. Just,
And
I
be
don't know.
prepared to read some subtitles. It is in French.
yes.
There's very little English in the movie.
That was weird, though. I didn't know that some of those, like, I'm used to hearing those terms in dance class. I'm like, oh, that's how it's spelled? Okay, that doesn't look.
The French spelling is just atrocious. I do not understand it. They
One
just throw in
syllable
extra
word
letters.
with like 8 letters. Okay,
It's good.
sounds good.
Whatever. Yeah.
All right, Andy and Joel are up next to review some more movies. That's about it.
Yeah.
So, we saw, or not we, I saw Book of Eli, and then Joel saw also Book of Eli.
Indeed.
So that's good because now we can both talk about it.
Yeah. It's funny how it works out.
Yep. Book of Eli is a post-apocalyptic. It's a polka movie, and with Denzel and
Who we love. He's been on the show.
yes, he has, and we are. He is carrying a book across the country. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Gary Oldman shows up.
And Gary Oldman rocks the house.
Oh, dude, Gary Oldman rules.
Yeah. Anything he's in, I adore.
Did you know? Well, first off, he's really good. Blah blah. Get that out of the way. But he's also playing like a precursor to Zorg. You
Oh,
see
yeah.
that? He's like
I
the
did.
same dude. And instead of looking for cases, he's looking for a book.
Yeah.
And then he hurts his leg, and he's walking with a limp. Oh man. Come
Yeah,
on.
and even does the, remember when he opens up and there's no stones in it and he
Yeah.
closes it, and that happens in this too. He opens it up and he closes it all angry.
Yeah, it's like
I caught that too. I had nobody to tell that to. I'm like,
They cast Gary Oldman for his looking into something that's not really there.
yeah.
abilities.
And he even has the same. He has the
Ooh.
same kind of accent and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he just plays Zorg, except with like better hair.
Better hair.
Anyway, that's a big movie nerd
Yeah.
thing for you guys.
So, yeah, Denzel's carrying a book, and Gary Oldman wants it, and Mila Kunis is hot.
True.
Yep.
Yeah, that's about it. See you
That's
later,
about the whole
folks.
movie, yeah. So it's a post-apocalyptic movie a la The Road,
Yeah.
where it's, you know, everybody surviving in a, yeah, you know, not so distant future after a nuclear whatever war, and you know, he's carrying this book, and they don't really they reveal that what it is and everything behind it, but and then they kind of hint at why Gary Oldman wants it so bad, and then there's a lot of really cool little subtle stuff that they hint at a lot in the story, but they don't really out and out say it.
And that's great because there's so many wannabe post-apocalyptic movies where they go, the bomb happened here, or the plague wiped out everything, and it happened this year, and then this and this and this. That is not the interesting part when you're watching a movie. I mean, if you're thinking of like 2012 stuff, then yeah, you can focus on that part. But if your story is mainly somebody surviving, like The Road or like in Eli, that stuff doesn't matter. And they mention it, like they say stuff about the blast, and you don't know if it's a war that's happened or if, you know, it's wrath of God or anything like
Skynet.
that. Skynet. It could be anything. And it doesn't matter. It does not matter because the story is basically Eli's journey from one place to another and his dedication to this book. He is, and it's got, I mean, without really spoiling too much, screw it. Let's spoil one thing. Let's spoil what the book is.
Well, the book's the Bible.
Yeah, the book is the Bible. And there are some really great religious undertones,
Yeah.
which is really good because they're undertones. This is not like Passion of the Christ. This is not anything that's going to beat you over the head with, you know, God is great, eat your vegetables type of stuff. This is, you know, one man's dedication to this book, the Bible, and him taking it from one place to another. And Gary Oldman's character wants to kind of abuse that power to get it for his own. And that in itself is just an interesting idea. And there are a couple of mentions of you know, the uses of the book and what Eli wants to do versus what, I don't even remember what Gary Oldman, we'll call him Zorg, what his character wants to do. Do you remember what it was?
What was it?
Carnegie?
Carnegie.
Carnegie.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks from the booth. And, you know, it's just, the story and the idea are just great. And the filming of this thing is beautiful.
It's all sepia tone.
Well, what are you supposed to do? I mean, that's like the bar that's set when it comes to post-apocalyptic. I mean, if you're not looking like you're playing Fallout, then, you know.
I see, and I'm not a big fan of that. I like the stylistic choice, and there's a lot of digital cinematography. And if anybody's seen this, it's very much like if you saw 300. It's all of the environment and the landscapes, at least the majority of it, are digitally composited in.
Right.
Like they obviously couldn't have turned an entire wasteland into this giant epic wasteland. They couldn't have done all this without the assistance of CG. And so a lot of the sky is, the majority of the sky is CG. And so, but it looks really, really well done. If you're familiar with HDR photography, the high dynamic range photography, it looks very much like it looks very fake. Everything looks very sharp, and everything is exposed for, you know, the sky is exposed one way and the ground is exposed another way. But it's all composited really well, so it looks really cool. The only problem I had with it is that style needs to have some color to it, and when the entire environment is this sepia tone, this yellow color, my eyes and my brain get kind of bored with it. Like I get kind of tired of this color.
Right, but you're watching the photographic nature of the screen there. You really have to, I mean, how are you going to have a post-apocalyptic movie with, you know, colors everywhere and all that? You have to have that color drained out or absent. Otherwise, it's just like, you know, I went out with a camera and got into the woods and tried to make, you know, whatever.
Well, but I mean, regardless of what the environment, what the color of the environment is, like this was shot in Arizona, and if anybody's been to the wastelands of Arizona, this is what it looks like. It's just this yellow tone on everything. The only thing is that you'd at least have some blue in the sky, and you know, in the town that he visits and things like that, there will be some color, but there was almost none. And what there was, it was so subdued that it was almost engulfed by this yellow color. And I need, like, if you've played Assassin's Creed, the first one, the video game, it's all this yellow and desert and everything is yellow. And then in the second one, they added all this really vibrant color to it. I would have liked that little addition just so there would be some kind of difference. Because I got really bored with that sepia tone, old-timey photo look of it. And so, I mean, that's just my stylistic choice. I just get bored with the same color of a movie for the entire time. Like even when they get to the ocean at one point, and even when they get to that, it's all this yellow, and they get on the Golden Gate Bridge, and the Golden Gate Bridge is almost tinted yellow. And the idea is that the sun is almost always out at this point, and it beats down on everything and kind of and fades everything. So I understand the decision to make it look like this, but I needed more.
Right.
So
Well, even then, though, I mean, if we ignore the tone of it, like the color tone of it, the shots picked were amazing. Like in the very beginning of this movie, you've got your frame, and you've got an inside frame where it's just silhouette of Eli and the bad. It's in the trailer, and the bad guy's coming at him, and all you see are the silhouettes and him just doing some badass kung fu sword type stuff. And that is almost more effective because, and I'm going to say this now because we're going to come back to it later, in just that one shot, it's just that one shot and it holds on to it, and that tension just continues to build because it doesn't feel like you're watching a movie. You're used to the cut. Now we've just got the one shot and we hold on to it. It starts at the beginning and happens again much later during a huge gunfight scene, which it was like 3 minutes long. Was it 3 minutes or was it longer than that? About 3 minutes. Where it's one shot digitally done, in through a bullet hole, out through this way, a little bit of shaky cam here, but it just holds on there and it makes you feel more like you're in that moment. That put me way more into it, and I don't think any kind of color tones could take me out of it.
yeah.
That actually kind of planted me in my seat, which could have just been in a rolly chair, hitched up behind Denzel.
Yeah, and the action sequences, they were very spread out. So there was one every 5 minutes or so,
Yeah.
and they were really well done. They were very music video. They were shot very much like a music video, where it was just like this, fast-paced, heart-pounding, really cool like rock music type action. And but it was fun, and it did what The Road didn't for me. It was like I can only watch somebody walk across the country to the West Coast so long before I want something cool to happen, and that's what they did with this. And they really hit the nail on the head with kind of appeasing the younger audience, because some of those fight scenes were awesome, and they didn't get too preachy about it, which I appreciated. And I mean, Denzel and Gary Oldman, I think, are infallible when it comes to acting, and Mila Kunis is, they kept her kind of subdued, so they showed how hot she is, and she didn't need to talk much.
Yeah.
So
I mean, she serves her purpose. She does a good job in what she's there for. Unfortunately, I can't help but look at her like the '70s show.
Yeah.
But I mean, she's in movies now.
And as long as she doesn't talk much, I don't see Meg Griffin, so that's okay. So that's about it for the show. Oh crap! I forgot to. We totally timed it wrong. And
Wait, are we
forgot
still doing Legion?
we don't have time to do Legion anymore, so we'll do Legion.
Oh!
We'll do Legion next week. I didn't get
Wait,
a chance to
we can bust out a real quick Legion review.
Well, but this gives me a chance to see it now.
Fine.
So I get to go see Legion now. Yay! Because I didn't see it. Otherwise, it's just you talking
Oh, that's such a horrible
by
thing.
yourself. Anyway, so that's it for Down in Front this week. Sorry.
I may or
Sorry
may
to
not be
Legion.
back
We
next
ran out of
week.
time. We'll catch you next week. And check out Facebook, search for Down in Front, downinfront.blip.tv. And thanks to Hollywood Theaters, Ragtag Cinema, Mackenzie's Seafood and Steaks, Gotcha Costumes, and is that everybody?
Sure.
That's about everybody. We'll see you next week.